What if one of the most powerful things that you can do for your child's mental health costs nothing? No app, no class, no school, just letting them play outside. It almost sounds too simple, but a brand new UK study followed thousands of children for years, and the pattern is hard to ignore. So today we're going to look at exactly what it found and whether we should trust it, and also what our parenting takeaways can be. Welcome back, I'm Joanna, I'm a mum to two. I make short videos on academic papers, data, anything on parenting topics that we want to talk about, breastfeeding, today play, education, learning, behaviour, anything that we can make informed decisions on and hopefully be better parents together. If you like that idea, please do like and subscribe. I'd love to have you join the journey. So let's talk about the study. So the study came out of the University of Exeter, led by Professor Helen Dodd, published this year, 2026, and it was published in the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry. What stands out about it is that it's a longitudinal study, so it followed the same children over years rather than taking a single snapshot. Most research on outdoor play is that snapshot style, so you can only really talk about what's happening at the time, not part of a longer journey. So the team used data from Growing Up in Scotland, a national representative cohort of children born in 2004 and 2005, and they analysed 4,151 of them, just to be specific. When the children were roughly 2 years old, 3 years old, 4, parents were asked one simple question: how many days in the past week did your children play outside? Then, when the children were 4, 5, 6 and 8, the parents completed a strengths and difficulties questionnaire, a widely used measure of children's mental health. It captured internalising symptoms, things like anxiety, low mood, and externalising symptoms like aggression, impulsivity and hyperactivity. But here's the clever part: rather than looking at just one moment at a time like the snapshot studies, the research used a technique called a growth mixture modelling to sort the children into different trajectories, so the different paths their symptoms took over the years. Some children sat in a stable low mood, good mental health group, others followed higher symptom path. They then asked the parents, did early outdoor play predict which path those children will end up on? And it did. Children who played outdoors more often at age 2 years old, 3 years old and 4 years old were more likely to stay in that healthy low symptom group all the way through middle childhood. They even put a number on it. For each extra day that a child played outdoors in a typical week during those preschool years, the odds of following that healthy mental health trajectory through to age 8 years old rose somewhere between 6 and 14%. So that's really significant. So a child that played outside looked meaningfully different over time from one who rarely did. And let's look at what this isn't. So this isn't about signing your toddler up for anything, to all of the groups and classes. It's the ordinary stuff, stuff in the garden, the park, just running around outside, and it adds up over the years. So why might this be? Well, the study can't tell us the mechanism. The wider research offers more plausible answers. Outdoor play is usually means more physical movement, which often lifts the mood, more exercise. It often involves more manageable risks as well, so climbing, balancing, exploring, and there's a growing body of work linking that self-directed risky play to lower anxiety, more confidence, and it keeps children learning that they can handle a challenge and they can be more resilient. There's also social play, there's time in green space, which we've looked at before, which can be really good for the microbiome and the gut-brain axis, and simply less time on screens is what we need. Any or all of these can be part of that picture, so the honest answer is we don't know yet which matters most specifically. So, should we trust this study? Let's get into a little bit of critical commentary. The part I think that matters most is that finding this appealing is exactly the kind of thing that we need to poke a little bit harder at. Let's start with the good. This is genuinely a strong design for the question. It's prospective, it's longitudinal, the play was measured before the mental health outcomes. The sample is large and nationally representative. The trajectory modelling is a sophisticated way to capture how children do actually change over time, rather than freezing them at one age. Now, it's worth noting though that this is observational. No one was randomly assigned to play outside, so we can't say that outdoor play causes better mental health outcomes. We can only they travel together across time. There's that sort of correlation. Secondly, there's a subtle but real problem. The same parents reported play and the symptoms. So if a parent is generally more upbeat or a parent's more anxious, that single lens can sort of steer the answers in one direction and therefore inflate the link. Independent reports say a teacher who completed a questionnaire instead of a parent might be more convincing and might be more impartial and balanced. Third, the exposure measure is quite blunt and vague. It just looks at days played outside last week, so it tells us nothing about the duration, how long for, what kind of play, the quality of it. Are they outside digging holes, or are they just going to go and play in the concrete at the park? A calm, easygoing child that does what they're told, that listens, that doesn't run out in the middle of the road, they are much more likely to be taken outside than a child who's dysregulated and can't follow instructions, and therefore their parent might keep them in because guess what? It's safer. So early temperament could also be driving this sort of play and later symptoms as well. So the trajectory model doesn't address and doesn't fix that, and so there'll always be some sort of residual confounding issues like family income, parent mental health, neighbourhood safety, green space, and other conditions that a child might have. And there's no statistical adjustment that completely removes that. And also generalisability. So the Scottish children were born between 2004 and 2005. That's essentially the pre-smartphone generation. So whether this pattern upholds for today's toddlers, my child, growing up with tablets from infancy, that's an open question. And lastly, does it fit with the wider literature? Well, it doesn't stand alone, which is good. It fits in with Bressoni's work on risky play, Dodd's own British play surveys, and with green space and nature studies showing similar directions. No single study here is definitive and decisive, but they all point the same way, which is get outside and get off the screens. So my bottom line is this is a well-designed, directionally trustworthy signal, not proof. Again, most things are correlation and signals toward which way we should take rather than definitive. So parenting takeaway, what can we actually take away from this? Aim for a little bit more of outdoor play in the normal week. Even that one extra day counts, and as we talked about, we don't necessarily know whether that is like a park versus being in the woods digging a hole, but I think either way, just getting out is probably better than nothing. Lower the bar for what outside means. So a muddy garden, a walk to the shops, going to the park, it all counts. British weather is not a disqualifier. Put your wellies on, put your waterproofs on. It actually can make it fun. And let them lead. Allow small manageable risks, so climbing a bit higher, climbing trees, exploring that bit further is great for risk management and building confidence and resilience. That growing sense of I can handle it and I can do it is exactly what anxiety research points to. We should also protect it from the squeeze of pressures of everyday life. So when time gets really tight and short and it's hard and stressful as a parent, it's really easy just to put the TV on instead, but we should really be protecting that outdoor space and time as much as possible because there's definitely a clear correlation here. Treating outside play as a default, this is what we have to do, non-negotiable, rather than a reward. If you can, be an advocate for good play spaces local to you. So Professor Dodd has pointed out that keep off the grass signs, quietly tell families that play isn't welcome here. And that shapes whether children even go outside at all because their parents are worried that it's not safe or they're not allowed to. And we should be pushing back against that and making sure that our children have access to good play spaces. But also keep perspective that this isn't the only factor that can impact your child's mental health. There are loads of other factors. So if you're ever worried about your child's mental health, please do speak to a GP or health visitor. So if you found this video helpful and you're excited to get outside, I feel motivated. I personally I'm the first person to be like, I don't want to go outside, but I will. I'm going to take them out today. It's going to be my thing to do today. If you feel encouraged to do this too, please do hit like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what sort of activities do you like to do outside. I went to a nature forest like play group the other day and we're outside painting and doing marshmallows and stuff, so I want to do that at home. Let me know what you guys get up to in the comments. And I hope you liked this video and I'll see you in another one for another study. I'll see you later.